Hi, this is Linda, and I'm continuing my study of, it's barely showing, Explaining American English. This is Series 2, Building American English Sentences, Lesson 4 within that series about linking verbs. So, before I talk about linking verbs specifically, let me mention something about all verbs that also fit linking verbs. And to do that, I'm going to explain this. I study Spanish and I study Korean. I'm not very good at especially Korean. I'm new at Korean. And I know English, so I'm going to say something about these three languages, and your language may also do this. If you find the base or the stem of a verb in Spanish, you would do this: hablar, to speak. You take off the AR. Now, there are AR, ER, IR verbs in Spanish. So this is an example of an AR verb. You take the AR off, see, minus the AR. Take it off, and you have HABL, and then you add to that to make it fit the sentence. If you look in the dictionary, you're going to see hablar. In the dictionary, comer, to eat. Decir, to say. That's how we translate it. Comer is in English to eat. Decir in English is to say. And you take the ER off or the IR off, and then you change or add to the base to make it fit in a sentence to say something. I'm going to use comer because eat will fit all of these three languages. You don't say in Spanish yo, which means I, yo comer. You say yo como. In Korean, 먹다, you take the da off and then you add something to it to make it fit the sentence. Well, English, we don't put something at the end of eat, we put something in front of it to give that same idea of the plain verb before we use it as a verb in a sentence. It's to eat. And we take the to off, and then we have the eat, and then we change eat as we need to. These languages add to or change the base, also called the stem, to match the subject, not Korean, but the other two, basically, or to tell time, today, yesterday, tomorrow. English does both, Spanish does both. In English, to eat can be in an English sentence, but never the main verb in that form. To eat is never the verb. Eat can be the verb when you take the to off. So, I want to look now with this idea in mind at what happens to a verb in English. And I'm going to use one that's not a regular verb first because it means eat, like the other words that we just looked at. And it is a normal 5-spelling word. So it is an example. Almost all verbs have 5 spellings. Sometimes 4 and 5 will be the same for a regular verb, but irregular verbs, possibility of 5 different spellings. Then we use those 5 in different ways in sentences. So the verb eat is just eat for I eat, you eat, we eat, they eat, eat. Anytime, when I say I eat, I'm not telling you when. It could be right now, yesterday, tomorrow, a year from now. It's something I do, I eat. This has the same idea, anytime. However, the subject has to be he or she or it. Or it could be the name of a he, like Bob, or name of a she, like Elizabeth, eats. But it's any time. So the time reference here is eat, eats, anytime. It doesn't matter. Time's not important. Then we move to the third one, and that's when we add ing, and in our timeline, it's going to be right now. By the way, when you say right now, don't forget to break right there. Right now, not right now. Right now. So I could say, I am eating, you are eating, we are eating, they are eating. It has to have a helper. Am is are, and then it uses eating. Ate, a time in the past that I'm thinking about, specifically a time, not a general somewhere back there time. I ate bananas yesterday. But then for this one, I have eaten bananas and apples and grapes for dessert many times. This is a more general past. From right now back, it can't be right now, but any time before now, long stretch of time, have or has eaten works. If it's a more specific time, ate. Now that's how almost every verb works. I don't even need to add future because future is going to use number one anyway, and we'll talk about that later. But now we look at to be. To be's crazy. It doesn't follow the rules at all. So, when I say the anytime ones for to be, it's going to be am and are. I am, you are, we are, they are. He is, she is, it is. So we're here, we only have two. We've already got three spellings. Then we've got right now, one spelling, being. And then for the more specific past, was or were, two spellings. Now we're already two ahead. Then we've got been. So these are the ones that are matching this. Now, ordinarily, future I wouldn't even include because future would be the same as this one. However, this one verb, be, is used for future. Will be. Also for a command, be good. Don't be late. We use be. So we have so many different spellings of this one verb to be, and it's not that way with all of the others. We had our four patterns. Parrots are birds was the third pattern, and parrots are pretty was the fourth pattern. So when we use those, we usually use them with these verbs that I just mentioned. There are fewer linking verbs than action verbs. That's good. We can get through these quickly. The most common linking verbs are am, is, are, was, were. And with a helper, be, being, or been. Examples, I am a teacher. I and teacher are the same. He is a pilot. Pilot and he are the same. They are students, the same. He was our leader, the same. We were friends, the same. I am tall. Now we're going, instead of renaming, we're going to describe in this section. I am tall. She is talented. They are strong. She was bored. We were afraid. Describing the subject. And if we use one of these with a helper, this one is a noun, these two are adjectives. The man will be president. The children are being noisy. The traffic has been heavy. So these describe situations where we use linking verbs. Now, all of the linking verbs, including the next ones that I show you, will be talking about it exists. It's not doing something. It exists. I exist as a teacher. I exist in the condition of being tall. So I exist this way. And sometimes we're not sure. So we use one of these words. Appear, seem, become, remain. Very occasionally grow and go can be, but not very often, so I didn't put them on the list. We've just got these four, and then these five, and then we're through with linking verbs. For example, the student seems frustrated. I could say the student is frustrated, but I'm not quite sure. So I'm going to say maybe. The student seems frustrated. The driver appears sleepy. I could say the driver is sleepy, but I'm not sure. They become friends. They weren't friends, now they are friends, so they become friends. They remain friends. They were friends, they are friends, they remain friends. They and friends are the same thing. This is a linking verb. Now, when we talk about the 5 senses, they can also tell how something exists, but they could be actions. So here is a comparison. Action, linking. Jill looks at the book. Jill is not the book. This does not describe Jill. This is what she's doing, so it's an action verb. You may be wondering, who cares whether it's action or linking? There is a time when it matters. And right now, you don't see why it matters, but it will matter when we build more sentences later. So I want you to know the difference. That's why we're doing this. You'll be able to tell, is this action or linking that's going to have an effect on something in the sentence. The flowers look pretty. Flowers are being described as pretty. I'm looking at them so I can tell. The flowers look pretty describes flowers. Matt feels the smooth silk. He reaches out, touches it. It feels smooth. Matt feels sick. Matt is sick. That's what I'm suggesting. Matt is sick. Joe tastes the candy. Joe and candy are not the same thing. This is what he's doing, so it's an action. The milk tastes sweet. Milk is sweet. I know because I tasted it. So this is a linking verb, and sweet describes milk. Betty, now often we say Betty instead of Betty. Vibrate, vibrate. In the middle, T doesn't vibrate, so we just keep vibrating. Betty. Just a little aside there on pronunciation. Betty, little. There are many words we do that with. Smells the bread. Betty is not the same as bread. She's doing something to the bread, action. The bread smells delicious. Bread is being described as delicious because we smelled it. We know it is. The bread is delicious. Please sound the alarm. Now it has an understood subject, you, because it's a command. I'm telling you, do this. Sound the alarm. You do that. That's an action I am telling you to do. The bells sound loud. The bells are loud. Loud describes the bells. I know they're loud because I can hear them. I hear the sound. So the bells sound loud. That's a linking verb. Okay, now you know all about linking verbs. That's all there is about linking verbs. Now I'm going to give you a quick culture tip. The first culture tip, bowing. Americans don't usually bow. We will to someone from another culture who bows. I bow many times to my Korean friends because I know in their culture that is appropriate to do. But with my American friends and acquaintances, I don't bow. Shaking hands is the most common thing we do if we do anything. When we meet someone, we will shake hands. If we see someone we haven't seen in a long time, we might shake hands. It depends on how well I know the person. Shaking hands is less formal, but it is friendly. I'm doing something to say, I like you, I trust you, or I'm glad to meet you. Women sometimes do not want to touch, so they don't shake hands. It's up to the woman to just not shake hands if she doesn't want to. Men will almost always shake hands. Maybe not every time they meet, but if they haven't seen each other in a long time, they will probably shake hands. Hugging is a different story, and it varies in different cultural groups within the United States. In my world, hugging is a show of affection. I hug people that I feel very close to, a very good friend or a family member. I hug. If I don't feel quite that close, I will shake hands when I see them. Maybe a side hug. I brought my doll here to show you a side hug. This is a side hug. Oh, it's so good to see you. But I'm not close enough to give a face-to-face hug because it is a show of affection. I will hug good friends. Now, I am old enough I can hug anyone because there's no overtone of unusual affection from someone my age as there would be for someone younger. But hugging is not as common as shaking hands when you meet someone. This is mostly reserved for someone I'm very close to. Kissing, also not very common in the United States. I only kiss mostly my grandchildren. I might occasionally kiss my grown son and daughter on the cheek if I haven't seen them in a long time. But mostly we just hug when we see each other. But my grandchildren, they get kisses all the time. Cheek, forehead, top of the head, wherever they get, not on the lips, but we kiss that way. Kissing on the lips is pretty much of a romantic thing, and there's no other time we kiss on the lips in the culture where I am. Okay, and then an idiom, bite the bullet. A long time ago, if someone was in a war and they got wounded and they needed medical help, often there was no painkiller, no anesthetic. You just had to be brave and let it happen. Well, if they had something that you could bite your teeth into to keep you from biting your tongue, they might put a stick in your mouth, or most of the time they had bullets. So they could put a bullet in your mouth and you could bite it while they do the surgery or the painful procedure so you can get through it. Today, if someone says, I have to bite the bullet, it means there's something I do not want to do. I have to do it anyway. So I put it off as long as I could. I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it. I'm going to get through it even though it will be painful to do or hard to do. Another one is don't bite off more than you can chew. If you have a sandwich and you take a really big bite, you can't chew it. Can't chew it, it's too much. And it means don't try to do more than you can do. For instance, let's say I am trying to do 5 videos in one day to catch up. I have bitten off more than I can chew. I would tell myself, don't bite off more than you can chew. You can't get that done well in one day. Just do one today, and in a few days do another one. Spread it out. Don't do it all at once. So don't bite off more than you can chew, but if you have to do it, just bite the bullet and get it done. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you will comment and let me know what your native first language is, and I will try to respond if you have questions or comments. So please give me those if you get a chance. Bye-bye.